Motivational interviewing, developed by Miller and Rolnick, is a set of skills aimed at engaging with someone's personal motivation to bring about behaviour change. It's goal-directed and involves being curious about and asking questions about the better future the other person desires, such as asking, how would you like your life to be better or different in the future? And starting to explore with them what they may be motivated towards. This approach, notice staff often overestimate the level of motivation of the person they're working alongside and assume the client has more motivation to change than they actually have. So sometimes it's about slowing the process down and working out the level at which someone's motivation is at currently. A key point is that human beings tend to feel ambivalent about change. Ambivalence means that we usually have mixed or conflicting thoughts and feelings about changing our habitual behaviour. So part of us wants to keep an unhelpful habit because it may have developed for good reasons. For example, substance misuse might comfort and cover over uncomfortable feelings of anxiety or guilt. At the same time, part of us may also be motivated to change as the negative consequences of any unhelpful habit may be causing us difficulty or interfering with our progress towards the good life that we desire. So one skill is to help someone explore and resolve these mixed or conflicting feelings, ambivalence, to help them look at both the pros and cons of changing and the pros and cons of not changing and just staying the same. Helping someone resolve their conflicted feelings about change could be about anything. For example, it could be about the habit of feeling lonely but not coming out of my room and socialising. It does not need to be about substance misuse. Solution-focused practice, developed by Berg and Shazer. This focuses on the present and the better future someone desires, or the goal they want to reach, and not so much on the past. It involves developing a detailed description of what life would be like if the goal was met. So if this problem habit wasn't in their life, what would life be like? Or what is that desired good life they'd like to live in the future, and helping people to kind of develop a rich description of that. Another skill to help build motivation is to identify exceptions. So there are times when either the goal's partly met about the good life someone would like to live, or the problem habit is not there, or it's not having such a big impact. And then explore what is going on and what's happening when that exception happens. So if someone felt lonely, when is there an exception to that? When they're having some company, for example, that would be illustrated. Another key skill is called coping validation. And here, you ask someone how they've managed to cope so far in the difficult situation and validate any capacities and skills that they've got to be resilient and cope. This can help. Another point you can bring in is problem-free talk. So the idea is often it's very obvious what sorts of problems are in people's life, and it's okay to talk about them. But a different angle, if you're a bit stuck, is to discuss areas of hobbies, activities or interests that people have or have had in the past as a way to have some problem-free talk. And this can tap in and help you to discover their interests and values and strengths. And these interests then can be used to kind of tap into the idea about, well, what's the good life you'd like in the future? And from there, you can then start to see or reframe the unhelpful habits that are interfering with them maybe practicing this habit or building this hobby that they've got. So problem-free talk can be a different angle if you're a bit stuck about tapping into the good life someone might be interested in, their values or hobbies or interests. So in my practical experience of building motivation with people with complex needs over a number of years, I've found the key idea from motivational interviewing that's helpful is that idea about ambivalence or conflicted feelings, that we help people see the pros and cons of change and the pros and cons of not changing, and then they come to their own idea about hopefully eventually the advantages of change outweigh the disadvantages of staying the same. And in a similar way, when I've looked at the set of skills around solution-focused practice, I find the key concept that's helpful to bring into your practice is that of scaling. So by scaling in solution-focused practice, what we mean is that help someone to think on a scale of 0 to 10. So over here could be 10, and that's when the goal's reached that someone wants to bring about change, or it could be about the good life that someone wants to live in the future, is 10 out of 10, or this unhelpful habit's gone. And then 0 out of 10 would be that no progress has been made at all. And then once you could write that on a bit of paper, 0 to 10, help someone describe what would life be like in the future, that good life, when the habit's gone away or the new habit's been established. And what we then do is help people acknowledge that some progress has been made already. So if someone's talking about it, that might be 1 out of 10. If someone's already put some efforts in, even if they've not been really successful, that shows some willingness to bring change about. So that might be 2 out of 10. If someone's formed some preliminary plans about how to bring this change about, or explored what are the options, what help's available to change this unhelpful habit or bring around a positive habit, then you might say, well, that's 3 out of 10. So you help someone to work out on a scale of 0 to 10, progress already made, and validate that. Then instead of thinking about 10 out of 10, the ideal good life that someone wants to lead when there's no unhelpful habit there, think about, well, what would good enough look like? So if I wanted to lose 3 stone in weight, for example, that might be 10 out of 10. But if someone asked me, well, what was good enough? I could say, well, 7 out of 10, good enough, might be losing a stone. So then you start to say, well, what good enough or 7 out of 10 would be? So if it's about making friends and not feeling lonely, maybe 1 friend would be good enough, 7 out of 10, whereas having 6 friends might be 10 out of 10. So do you see how then 7 out of 10 is a bit more manageable than good enough? And if you've already done 1, 2 or 3 out of 10, wherever you feel you're at on that scale, you've made some progress on the journey already. So now you've only got 4 points to make. And then, this is the key point, is we help someone to think about 1 more step on the scale. What would that look like? So if you're 3 out of 10, not what would 10 out of 10 look like? So what small steps would you take to get to 4 out of 10 if you were 3 out of 10? So it might be starting to do 5 minutes exercise if I wanted to start doing some exercise and losing some weight. 5 minutes a day would be the next step to make a start. And that's how scaling works, because all of a sudden you can see that you've already gone a little way on the journey, good enough's not too far away, and then you're making a little bit of a step forward. What small steps could you make here? And then if someone gets to 4 out of 10, you help them think about, well, what would 5 out of 10 look like? And then you acknowledge the good work they've done, and that's how solution-focused practice scaling works.